All right, guys, as usual, this is our 20-second lead-in time to get this show started, because if you're watching this after the live, you may have to watch a little commercial or an ad to get into where we are. But if things are a little bit different tonight, that's okay, because we've had some conflicts in schedules. First, it was Grant couldn't make it for tonight, so I got Big Easy to jump in here. We also had our guest scheduled to be here tonight, and well, he had some unexpected family show up and could not make the show tonight. And look, we're pretty easy going, but this is the first time in 3.5 years that we've ever had a guest back out on us, so we're pretty stoked that we were actually able to get this show on the road. So yeah, my name is Jason. I am the car guy of the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. My normal guest is Grant Tommy, who is straight Six Fan, but unfortunately, like I said before, he's not available. But tonight, I'm stuck with this guy over here.
Yeah, I'm no Grant, but I have been known to be relatively entertaining from time to time, my friend. I think everybody who's here knows who I am.
I think so too. And we're going to jump into the chat right quick and just acknowledge some of the people who jumped in really quick. Ryan from Everything is Broken Garage is always the first one in there. Jason Rock, the Bandit, Melissa Nunez doing her great modding skills over there. We also see Big Easy in the chat as well. Two Hacks Garage, Big Al is in the house. We've also got Will's Wheels, and who else jumped in there? I think that's what we caught for now. The Real World Garage, thank you very much, and I hope he's hit 1,000 subscribers. If he's not, he was very, very close earlier today. He was like 5 subscribers away from hitting that 1,000 subscriber mark. Guys, welcome to the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. We got a really interesting show tonight lined up because things are a little bit different. We've got no guests. We've got no Grant. I'm flying by the seat of my pants, and Big Easy's here to help me get along with this. Go ahead and say hello to everybody, and we'll get the show on the road, Luke.
Well, first of all, as some of you may have noticed, we haven't been on YouTube quite as much. It's only because we've been crazy busy. I actually have a massive announcement, but we're not ready to tell everybody yet. So we have currently, our lovely editor has probably 4 videos ready to go. We just uploaded one today. We got a thing planned for our members. And to answer the question that I've had in all the messages, yes, I've lost a bunch of weight and continue to do so. Thank you for everybody noticing.
And that's not because he's sick, guys. That's because he's doing very well with his recovery. So
I'm doing better, yes. Well, technically, it's still called remission. So I'm not technically 100%, but the immune system and what caused all the swelling, I'm on medication for it. So that and diet and exercise. Doing good.
Well, there you go. So I also see Tim Hatt has jumped in there, stuff with Cletus, as well as mechanics, Big Belly Racing, and George from Nick's Garage has jumped in. Mexico Spec, I think, as well, and King Eric, the greatest of all. Guys, let's jump right into tonight's episode, and we're going to get talking about a little bit of things in the news. And this is something that popped up into the stream a little earlier today. And if you haven't heard about this yet, guys, this is a cargo ship.
Crazy.
Full of nearly 4,000 Volkswagen products, which includes Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, Lamborghinis, and Bentleys. This thing is on fire, and it is adrift in the Atlantic Ocean. I can't imagine somebody who's got a car on its way to buy, and they get the phone call from the dealership saying, by the way, your GTR Porsche, whatever they're called, has
your Lamborghini.
It's like, come on,
18 months ago.
Yeah. So what this is 3,965.
Though that they don't technically belong to anyone. Like, it's not like somebody's. But is there cars on there that somebody already restored that got shipped to, or is it all brand?
These are all brand new vehicles, apparently.
Okay. Well, at least their owners haven't seen them yet.
Well, and at the end of the day, we're talking a big insurance claim. If anything, it just sucks for those guys. If you're a car guy, no matter what type of car you like, if you're waiting for something, whether it's a brand new whatever, and it's not showing up when they say it, you're going to be heartbroken. So there's a lot of people out there, a lot of dealerships, a lot of customers out there right now, just hoping and praying that their car is not destroyed on this cargo ship.
Well, and it'll affect values too. Like the Lamborghinis aren't made in big numbers, right?
Well, no,
So
and that's what it says. Is it
if
says
there's 50 of a certain model Lamborghini that there's only 200 of to begin with, it's going to change a whole bunch of stuff.
yeah, it says out of the 4,000, there was 1,100 Porsche and 189 Bentleys.
Mm.
So Bentleys are, you're talking Bentleys. They only make a couple hundred of those a year anyway.
Yeah.
Or I think less than 1,000 a year, and here's almost 200 of them sitting on that boat.
Brutal. Does it say what started the fire?
Let's see.
Volkswagen Group said the company third-party cargo ship. That's why VW is not concerned about it.
Somebody else's problem.
Yeah, it is. I mean, in big business, that's the way it is. They could care less. The cars are just assets to them. Whether it says Lamborghini, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi, it's an asset. The assets are insured. Not our problem. Third party.
Not our problem, exactly.
Yeah.
So the other thing that we want you guys in the chat is to tell me if you had yourself a brand new whatever car that you've been waiting for a really long time, and no matter where it was coming from, whether it's a boat, train, plane, rail, whatever, and all of a sudden you hear there's a big accident and several of these type of vehicles are involved, how would it make you feel? How about you, Luke? How would you feel if you had ordered a brand new Hellcat, Red Eye, or whatever it happened to be, and all of a sudden you found out that particular train got derailed and it was sitting upside down in a field somewhere in Saskatchewan?
Well, it's me, so I'd probably try to get a discount on the car and get it anyway. Let's be honest. I'd want to see it and see if I could get it. And then I'd want to see if other ones on the train were for sale. So I've actually already started thinking, I wonder if I could manage to afford a Lamborghini out of this. Because they got to go somewhere. And if they end up going like full movie car style and get crushed, no one's going to get them. If I was waiting for something, it would be more likely be like a dually truck or something. It would suck, but because I hadn't taken delivery of it, I'd just find another one. I'd be annoyed and move on.
Yeah. It's tough when if you're buying something brand new, because obviously you're paying a pretty significant amount of money for it, no matter what it is. And let's reverse that role a little bit. Let's say it's a restored 1970 something or other, whatever you happen to have, and it's just something that you've been waiting for. You just smacked down 150 grand
That's
for this
totally
car,
different,
right? And someone's put
for me
thousands of hours
just
worth of
paper
work
with numbers on it.
Yep.
That's all. It's the history and significance of it, right? Take Nick when he works on like the Charger 500 or works on a brand new LS1 Camaro. He cares about both cars. But when you see the guy count how many turns so all the heads line up on the front of the Charger 500, just because you didn't say it on the video doesn't mean I didn't notice it, Nick. When literally, that's the difference, right? For me, I'd be heartbroken because it'd be a piece of history lost. If a brand new one got burned, just build another one. It can be replaced right away. You can't replace something that was built in 1970, had 100,000 miles on it, and a craftsman restored back to original, right?
Yeah. And we have Shop Cat Industries jumping in saying hello to myself and to you, Big Easy. And
Shop
we've
Cat.
also got a couple of guys in the chat saying that it would be awfully tough and that they would be pissed. And if they worked for the dealership, that they would probably quit rather than have to call the customer.
Yeah.
And then George says Nick would probably swim out there and put the fire out himself. And I wouldn't doubt that for 1 second.
No doubt.
So let's move on to the next topic of some of the things that we wanted to talk about tonight. And this is something I thought of that I think would be great conversation. And that was, let's take some vehicles that have been on the market for a little while. They had a little bit of hype. They came to market. They've been out there for a little bit. And I want to get your reaction, Luke, and some of the guys in the chat to find out whether they think that these vehicles, A, have a place in the market, whether they're living up to their hype, so to speak. So the first one that I want to do is I'm going to have to get out there and share this. So give me 1 second, and I'm going to get the share screen ready.
Okay. I know what you're going to hit me with. Guaranteed.
So we're going to start off with the rough and tumble Ford Maverick. And of course, as you guys know, this is a vehicle that came out as a 2022 model, and primarily in the front wheel drive as a naturally aspirated, but you can get it in all-wheel drive if you go with the hybrid. They are one cab configuration, and that is a unibody crew cab. And I think they could have done a little bit better on the styling, but nevertheless, this is meant to fall into the, I guess, mini truck market, which is starting to make a comeback through a lot of the overseas manufacturers. These are very popular overseas, but here in North America, they don't seem to have as big of a market share with these things. Of course, you guys also saw the new Hyundai Santa Cruz coming to market very soon, which is a similar style. So, Luke, tell me what your instant thoughts were when you found out about this vehicle coming to market.
Hang on a second. Sorry, Jason. Take a hike, Lily. This is my cat. Not very professional, but what do you do? Okay, so the Ford Maverick.
The show must go on.
The Ford Maverick, I actually think is a really good idea. It's a bit shameful, the name. I think they shouldn't have used it, but it's going to make them billions of dollars. A friend of mine who's a YouTuber, Rob, he bought one, and it's been perfect. It's been great. It gets 1,000,000 miles to the gallon. Are you going to win any drag races? No. Are you going to turn any heads? No. But it's reliably will go through pretty much any weather and carry any cargo that's within reason. I mean, it's not a pickup truck, but it'll carry stuff, around town, etc., that kind of thing. And it's kind of the same idea that the original Maverick was. It's fuel efficient. It's got enough power to do what you need to do, but not too much, not too little. And they're cheap. It's the same as Ford building 1 trillion F-150s. They're not a very good truck, but they run for 100,000 miles. They're cheap to buy, and they're disposable. And they make Ford billions of dollars. So it's another extremely smart Ford move.
Well, and I think you're right on a couple of things there. And one of them is that, they tried to field a market full of people who wanted a truck, but wanted something that was compact, easy to drive, easy to park, which is something you don't get in a modern truck today. But something that was fuel efficient, had decent room, and I think they were trying to go with styling, but I'm really not sure that they hit it on the head. But it does have some of those styling cues on this particular model, with some of that FX4 styling or that sporty styling and whatnot. And I think, to some it is, but there's going to be people out there who don't need a $80,000 pickup truck to go to the grocery store, right? They need this thing here, which I think in Canada is going to open up at what they say it was $26,000 or something like that.
Yeah, it's almost as ugly as an F-150.
Yeah, and Luke is going to continue to piss people off by saying how much he doesn't like the F-150 just because he knows that I drive one. I think is the only reason why he's saying that. But.
Because they're junk.
Wow.
Sorry.
Let's move over to the chat and see what people are saying.
You want to drive an F-150? That's your deal, brother. They're junk. It's like saying Dodge builds a better gas engine than Chevy. No, they don't. They're nowhere near as good as a Chevrolet gas V8. That's just facts. I prefer Dodge, but it's not better. The F-150 is a little underpowered aluminum piece of crap that got marketed really well.
And we'll leave it at that. I think that there's room. I really do. All joking aside, I think there's room for argument there, no matter which side of the fence you sit on. I've never professed to be a Ford guy ever. Growing up, I was always Chevy because that's what my dad drove. But he was never a Chevy guy either. It was, he ran a business and he's alternated between Chevys and Fords and Dodges his whole life. And growing up, I'm doing the same thing. Of course, we've got 3 Panther platforms sitting in our driveway. Yeah, the F-150 is a shop truck. It's adequate. It does what we want. It has decent power. It's not great on fuel, but it's
Shop vehicle. Shop
somewhat
vehicle. Nothing without a Cummins is a real truck anyways.
Again, it depends on what you're doing with it. You know, if you're towing and hauling a lot, yeah, you might decide to go with a 3/4 ton with a diesel or a 1 ton with a diesel. But we don't do a lot of that with ours. But let's look at the chat and see what everybody's saying. Someone's asking me if I'm going to be selling these on my lot. Probably in about 10 years. Yeah, they'll probably hit my lot.
Yeah.
Gary Mathis says that they're starting at $19,995. And I think he's right, but that's probably the U.S. pricing.
Yeah, that is. The U.S., it was under 20. It was under 20 for the base model one.
For the base model, yeah. And you think that these things don't look that great. You should see the base model with the steel wheels. They're not very good looking at all.
They're pretty bad. But for a unibody entry level, I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah. Who is it? Shopcat says, let's be brutally honest, all cars suck. It depends on, again, which side of the industry you're on. If you're still on them, they don't suck. If you're fixing them, yep, they all suck when they're broken.
Well,
I can tell you that much. Doesn't matter what you're driving.
I got to interject here. I'm going to use Bobo's Jeep as an example. Bobo's Jeep, in some ways, our red Rubicon is amazing. In other ways, it's an absolute pile of crap. The fit and finish and electronics and stuff, they're junk. I don't know what they're thinking. Half the time the screen stops working. It squeaks, it rattles, the screws suck, but the engine, transmission, and differentials and where that thing will go is amazing. It's bulletproof, hasn't had a single problem, gets 100,000 thumbs up everywhere you go. But the fit and finish on that Jeep is absolutely terrible. Like, well, I don't know what they were thinking.
But you would think on a Jeep that's been around, and pardon me for saying so, relatively unchanged over the years, you would think that they would have had time to perfect it to the point where there shouldn't be those issues.
Well, it's the JL issues. Like the JK, the first few years had the same thing. And then by the end, most of them were figured out. The problem is in 19, which is what year the Jeep is, it came out with a new Uconnect or whatever. First of all, Chrysler's Uconnect
Uconnect's a piece of junk Ford's. Anyway.
It is horrible.
Those Sync's not much better.
It is just terrible. And everything from the way, like, the door squeaks and the thing doesn't even have 70,000 K on it. Like, yeah, it's a Jeep, we're using it in the woods, but they need to get their head out of their rear when it comes to quality control.
Seeing how we're talking about Jeeps, maybe it's time to bring on the Jeep and talk a little bit about the Jeep Gladiator. Now, this is a vehicle that when they first came out, you could go to SEMA, and it was like every SEMA build was a Jeep Gladiator that year because it was the new big Jeep.
Yeah.
And you and I talked about it before we went on air about how, yes, it's a Jeep from the 4 doors forward, but the back of it just is a little bit disproportionate. And unless they're done up right, lifted to the right degree, the big enough tires to kind of offset some of that stuff.
Factory Gladiators are hideous.
They kind of are.
And I'm not kind of. They are. It's worse than an F-150. Look at the stupid thing. It's all misproportioned. It's too low. Like the front bumper looks like somebody trying to smile while taking a dump. They're horrible looking. Well, until you spend 10 grand making them look right.
Exactly. And one of the things, and this picture right here proves that point, is one of the things that Jeep has always kind of sat on the top of that mountain, pardon the pun, with is their approach and departure angles.
Mm-hmm.
In the JKs, the JLs, and all the previous generations. This does not do that. This is not the same off-road Jeep that you're going to be able to take your JK or your new JL out on the trails with, because you've got 3 feet, 4 feet of overhang behind that rear tire.
Right.
That,
so you
in my opinion, is what makes this thing a little bit on the hideous side. A lot on the hideous side.
You can buy the kit that makes the back of it. It basically, that whole bottom part underneath where the seams welded together is plastic.
Mm-hmm.
So they make a kit that goes in and is part of a rear bumper. So when it hits, then you're okay. But just the whole proportion of it, all they had to do was make it 3 inches longer, move the bed 3 inches more forward, and the problem would have been solved.
Well, because look at behind the rear door, how the door is angled. They're using the exact same door as they do in the JLs, and they've got all that dead space in behind there. There's got to be what, a foot of space between the bottom of that door and the fender. They could have at least, even if it was useless space, they could have made the box come in that much further to kind of fill that void and make it look like something.
But the thing is, too, is it's not going to change how many they sell. And Chrysler, or whatever you want to call them this week, Stellantis, FCA, whatever they are in February, they're famous for how they stay alive and make money. Even when Jeep belonged to AMC, it's a parts bin company. And I'm a Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep person. I love them. But the reason why they didn't is because then they couldn't have used the JL door that they already spent $1 million coming up with. So they stick with this because they know darn well that most people are going to buy them anyways because it's the new greatest thing. Hell, they sold however many launch editions, and half the people didn't even get their launch editions till the Jeep was out for a year. Yeah. So, it has to be done just right. And you can get the good diffs and stuff in it. You can't get the 4-to-1 rock track transfer case in it. There's a couple things that it doesn't have that the JL Jeep does. That's why we went with the JL Jeep. One, we couldn't find a Gladiator that didn't look terrible because they have to have 35s. They have to have custom bumpers. They have to have certain rock sliders, and they have to be the right color. Otherwise, it looks like a Jeep that got in an accident somebody bolted a box onto.
So, in your opinion, and I think you kind of answered this a little bit earlier, does the Jeep Gladiator have its place in the market?
Yes, it does, because of the market. I do believe it does. It's a niche or vehicle, however you want to pronounce it. I do believe it does. I think they could have done a much better job with it.
So is this something that you think that Jeep has hit out of the ballpark? Is it something that you don't think that it's they're trying to, again, just like the Maverick, they're trying to satisfy that niche of guys who want the Jeeps but also want a pickup truck? Somebody said in the chat earlier that they thought they just took two different vehicles and smashed them together. I think it was Big Al. I think he's right, but you don't think that they hit this one out of the ballpark? No,
not at all. I think that would I buy one? Absolutely, because I'm a diehard Jeep Chrysler person. But it has to be done just right. They could have done a much better job, and I give it another 3 to 5 years, and it'll be completely different or on the Ram 1500 platform.
Well, my thoughts were that when they took away the Dakota, that they were going to come back with a new Ram Dakota, kind of like the Colorado's Canyons, about that size, the new Ranger.
Which they're going to.
Well, right. But instead, they chose to go the Jeep route first. Do you think that was a wise move?
Financially, yes. They've sold 1 million of these things. They're everywhere.
Well,
from a company standpoint, from a personal car guy standpoint, no, they should have built the truck first and perfected this. They could have done a way better job.
So got you guys watching right now in the chat, or if you're watching this in the after show, in the replay, go ahead and tell us in the comments whether you think Jeep has hit this one out of the ballpark. Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down? Don't give the video a thumbs down. Give this vehicle a thumbs down. But tell me what you think. Did Jeep hit this one out of the park? And tell me the reasons why you think whichever way you think. So before we get going into the next one, I want to remind you guys that next week we are back with the Car Guy and Six Fan Show. Grant will be back, and we've got a guest lined up, and it is Mike from the Chevy Dude. If you guys don't know who Mike Davenport is, Mike has just recently started his own car dealership. He has left Bachman Chevrolet and is kind of venturing out on his own. So Mike will be a guest. Make sure that you're here. We'll be over on Grant's channel next week because this is a cooperative effort. And make sure that you guys are following up with us on Instagram, on our other social medias. And because Big Easy is our guest host this week, make sure you head on over to Coastal Auto Reaction. And Melissa, if you don't mind, go ahead and throw his link in the chat one more time, and make sure that everyone heads over there to follow the car guys over there.
I will say the JL is the best Jeep they've ever made. I do think that.
Well, having said that, we need to kind of let Big Easy catch his breath one more time, because we're going to jump over to a completely different vehicle that I know where he stands and I know where I stand on it. And believe me, guys, it's on two different sides of the fence. So again, we're going to share this up, and I want to know what you guys think. And again, feel free to be honest in the chat, because I know that you guys will. But I want to know what you guys think of the all-new Ford Bronco. Now, this particular one that we've got up on the screen is the Everglades, which is the new one that they just released, which is just basically, big tires, different wheels, and a badge and a snorkel, I guess. There wasn't a whole lot of difference between this and what's already out there. But nevertheless, we're talking the new Bronco in general. Luke,
so
tell us what you think.
The new Bronco is not aimed at actual hardcore off-roaders. If it was, it would be engineered differently. It is going to be a massive success because it's geared towards every guy out there that wants to be part of the country, every guy out there that wants to have a 4x4, every guy out there that wants to be going fishing now because it's trendy, etc. The tie rod ends in the front of this thing alone are an absolute laugh. I think it's a great idea for Ford. The fact that Ford just keeps nailing hey right on is the reason why they're number one in the auto industry. My personal opinion is it's the only vehicle right now out there uglier than the Gladiator and the Maverick. And I haven't driven one, so I don't know about power. If it's the same feel as newer Ford cars, I wouldn't like it. And I think it's an imitation wannabe off-roader that relies on cameras and gimmicks to be good. Whereas if you compare it to a Rubicon with a manual transfer case and diff locks and stuff, it's two different realms. They'll sell more of these, though, because there's a lot more everyday people that go, oh, that's trendy, and want one, than there is people like me that don't care what anybody else thinks about them.
So
it'll be a massive success because Ford's they're genius when it comes to marketing.
So I'll agree with you on quite a few of your points. So obviously one of them is that it's no, I don't believe that they are truly marketing it to the hardcore off-road guy or gal. I think what they're targeting it to is, and I'm going to say this, and this is my opinion, that they're targeting the exact same audience that Chrysler or Jeep is with their JLs, and that is people who want to look the look, but will never take it off-road. And a majority of Jeep owners do just that and have been doing that for years.
99% of them.
Yeah, and Ford is doing the exact same thing. So what they've done with the Bronco,
good point,
is they've given it a little bit more style, and it's easy to copy something that's been around for 100 years because you can learn from some of the mistakes that you think that they may have made. And I think Bronco has done some of that. I've driven one of these things, and they are comfortable. I've driven a Jeep, and they're not. So, but again, there's purpose built for everything. I think they're targeting this Bronco. This one, not the Bronco Sport, because the Bronco Sport is just
horrible looking.
It's just a Ford Escape is all it is.
Yeah.
This one here, I think it has potential, just like the Gladiator and just like the JL, that if you want to take it off-road, that there seems to be plenty of aftermarket coming up the pipe that you can do what you need to do with it to make it a great off-road vehicle. You can beef up those tie rods. The independent suspension may be what makes it ride nice, but I think it also may be its Achilles heel for the hardcore off-roaders. But nevertheless, the number one reason why I like the Bronco, and this is, again, it's just me, is
Hartford likes it.
Is the styling. I really do think that they have captured the Bronco-esque styling of what they were going for. They were trying to make it look very similar to what they did when they first came out in the 60s with the squareness and the boxiness and the flat nose and the flat hood. I think they've done that. And again, that's where they're going to grab a lot of those Ford guys out of the Jeep market to say, okay, I'm a diehard Ford guy and I want something that's off-road looking. I want it to look robust. I want it to do this, do that. I want to beef it up with some aftermarket. And there you go. There's the Jeep. You can remove the doors. You can remove the hard top. You can have some fun with these things. At the end of the day, I think that Ford has hit the hammer or hit the nail right on the head and given some run to those hardcore Jeepers out there. And again, that's a fact because they are selling these things like hotcakes, and it is kind of chewing into the Jeep.
Can we take this thing off the screen now? It's making me sick.
Come on now. We're not done talking about it yet.
I am.
I bet you are. So guys, again, like I said before, go ahead in the comments and tell us what you think of the Ford Bronco. As far as, do you like the style? Is it something that you would buy? Is it something that is definitely going to be competition for the Jeep markets? And also,
not if it's got as many electronic nannies as the Jeep does. God, I hate that about our Jeep. It is horrendous. What's the point in having dip locks if you can't use them, or not being able to back up? Seriously, okay? Locked in, low range, everything turned off. You go to back up. You want to know what it does? As soon as you get to 1500 RPM, can't back up in a fully built Jeep. Come on. Sorry, I had to let that out. It's been driving me nuts.
Okay, so here's the same question I'm going to ask you about the Gladiator. Does the Bronco have its place in the market?
The Bronco does, yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
and I agree with that.
Yeah.
So why do you think that is?
It's a better marketed vehicle. It's better looking overall. There's more room in it. The Gladiator is more of a niche vehicle, like, ooh, a Jeep, a truck, cool. This, you're not going to find somebody's wife driving this when there's a Jeep guy involved. But how many wives are going to have Gladiators? None. Yet Mrs. Car Guy can drive this to the store every day, and then he can go out in the woods and pretend he's an outdoorsman on the weekends.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. And that's, again, I mean, but for the exact same reason why people go out and buy Jeep JLs or Broncos is the exact same reason people go out and buy $80,000 Hemi crew cabs or Chevy Silverados or F-150s. It's because they want to have... I look
at it so differently, right? It's hard for me.
Well, because you and I are probably the type of people that when we go out to buy these trucks, we're purpose buying. We're buying with a purpose in mind.
When I got my Ram, the 3500, I sat down and ticked off the snow plow pep group, the Asen transmission, and that truck gets used every day as a work truck. When we got Bobo's Jeep, it had to have specific options. If you couldn't get a 4-to-1 T-case and locking diffs in the JL, we wouldn't have bought one. What's the point in buying a Sahara or a Willys mall crawler?
Well,
right?
But again, that's the point I'm trying to make is, when you go to, when people go to buy trucks, there's people who are purpose building them because they have to tow something, they have to plow something, they have to do a specific job with it. But the average people who are going out and buying these $70,000-$80,000 crew cabs for their wife to go get groceries in while they're at work, or pick up the kids at soccer practice and get 16 miles per gallon is because they want to have just as nice or a nicer truck than the guy that's in the parking lot or in their neighbor's driveway next door. And I think that there's a lot of people who do that. And I'm not saying that to piss anybody off. I'm just saying, if you can afford one, great, power to you. I have a really hard time spending that kind of money on a brand new vehicle. So that's why I drive a lot of used. And according to Big Easy, I drive a lot of junk. So
I didn't say that. Now, don't get your feeling hurt. I said
my
the
one
F-150 was junk. I love the Crown Vics. They're not junk. Those are killer cars that are known to go over 1 million miles. Now, put your purse down and stop being so sensitive. It's not my fault you drive an F-150. Get rid of it.
Did you guys see that?
What?
That was my one feeling flying away.
You know I love you, buddy.
Yeah, I know you do.
Did you notice that Bobo's here?
I saw him. I heard him in the
Bobo, say
background
hi.
there.
What's up, everybody?
I
How
don't
you
know if
doing,
they
Uncle
can see
Bobo?
you. You have
Kind
to
of, sort of.
well move to where the camera is, my friend.
No, it's all good.
Okay. So
Stick your arm up.
I saw him in there earlier.
Sorry,
So before we go too much further, again, guys, if you're not subscribed to me, please hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to like this video, share it out with your friends.
Yeah.
We're going to jump over to the very last vehicle that we want to talk about, and then we'll start kind of wrapping things up. This is one that likely is going to leave a bad taste for both of us, because I don't think either one of us liked this particular vehicle. It grew on me, but again, it's just not something that is very mainstream. And I think nowadays that the price point is a little more obtainable for the average Joe. But nevertheless, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on not just the Z06, but the new Corvettes in general. So again, go ahead and leave your comments in the chat or down below if you're watching this in the after show, and tell me what you think of the Corvettes, the new C8 Corvettes, the mid-engine, and in particular the Z06. Now, these Corvettes have been around for a little bit now. They are becoming a little bit more popular to see kind of when you're out in the summertime driving around. In fact, my wife and I, we have a camper that we seasonal at, and one of the guys that camps down there has one of these. He brings it to the campground with him. A pretty nice looking car. Hoping that maybe at the very least I'll get to go for a little ride in it to say that I've had that experience. But nevertheless, Big Easy. Take it away. Tell me what you think of the new C8 Corvettes.
Well, they're great for vloggers that can't change their own oil and I need to get lots of views. They're great for guys that have to give back their leased Lamborghinis for 6 months, so have to get something they can actually afford. And it created a lot of stir because they're mid-engined. But if you like plastic cars and golf, they're cool. Other than that, I can't really comment on it. I don't even know what that thing's got for an engine. I like real cars. And I'm not a vlogger, so.
And I don't even think I could top that. But any of you guys that watch car vlogs, you're going to know exactly who he's talking about. And I think the idea behind
it's true.
It is true. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. I've often said to talking to different people, and I've made the comments in the past before, is if I had the intangible FU money, if I just had money that nobody cared about, that I could just throw away on buying a car. Somebody asked me one time, would you buy the new C8 Corvette? And I said no.
Thank you.
But I would not have bought the C7. 6, 5, 4. Probably not even the 3.
For last year's vloggers, like that 714 guy or whatever.
Yeah, right. So like I mean, I'm more of a muscle car guy at heart, and I believe that the Corvette's roots are there. But
and you can change your own oil.
I can. If I had one of these, I'd probably try and figure it out too. The idea is that I think there's a lot better product out there, whether it's by GM, Ford, Dodge, Chrysler, whoever you want to look at, that I could spend my $100,000 on. I really do. Yeah. And I think I could probably buy, for $100,000, I could buy myself 25 square bodies, or I could buy myself a bunch of swept lines, or I could buy myself a bunch of F-150. I could buy a lot of things, which I probably would do. My wife would kill me, but I could probably buy myself a lot of things over one vehicle at that price. And I still use that train of thinking on my used car lot, that people ask me, well, how come you have no trucks on your lot? Well, because to buy one truck, I've got to pay 25 to 30 grand, and 25 to 30 grand buys me 4 or 5 subcompact mid-size cars, or 2 or 3 SUVs. So I get more bang for my buck. I get, I get something that I can sell quicker, turn it around quicker, and not tie up so much money. With these things here, I find that there is a market for it. Like you said, unless you're a YouTube vlogger who's making $70,000-$80,000 a month on YouTube,
or can't afford your leased Lamborghinis and have to return them for 6 months.
Whatever it happens to be, or you're just some middle-aged guy that wants to, say I've earned it. Power to you guys. I mean,
doesn't want to admit he's got a Viagra prescription. Yeah, I hear you.
I'm not trying to condemn anybody for wanting to own one of these things, because there are Corvette purists that are purists at heart, and they couldn't wait to sell their C7 and trade it in on the C8. Power to you guys.
because
I'm
they're
not
not
knocking
real
you
car
for that.
people. They're just flash in the pan. I'm going to follow the latest trend.
Well, and again, probably have the FU money to make use of that.
Well, the bank does. They just have good credit to make leases.
There you go.
That's how they actually do it.
I do want to move over to the chat right quick and just see what some of these guys. Big Al says he agrees with me. The Bandit says his opinion on the Corvette is that he doesn't like the engine in the trunk. When you're competing with supercars, now that's one thing that I will say about Chevrolet moving to the mid-engine and still being able to sell it for sub $100,000 is that you're in direct competition with the McLarens and the Lambos and all those guys out there at a fraction of the price. So marketing, it was a great move on their part. It's a moving casket, the Bandit says. Who else? Somebody said, no. Wrap your ass in fiberglass, puke, says Dave McGraw. So there's a lot of guys, a lot of mixed emotions there. And I think
read what George wrote.
What did George say? Thank goodness the guy's buying these. Yeah, exactly.
Clap in the chat for George.
Oh, that is so true. And the funny thing is, though, is that those guys like George, who is out there driving a 20-year-old Toyota that's been paid off now for 15 years, can still drive it and get 40 miles to the gallon with it.
Heck, half the time I'm driving Bobo's 70 D100 around with axle dump exhaust on it.
Yeah, so I think the idea is that a lot of people here don't like them, but nevertheless, at the end of the day, there is a market for them, and that would be my next question to you, Luke. Does the Corvette still have its place in the market?
Absolutely. Gary said it right here. Corvette serves the same purpose it always has. From when they first took it from the 6-cylinder and up, ever since it's been known as the Plastic Fantastic, it's doing the same thing it always did and doing a good job of it for the purpose it's built for. Yeah. Absolutely.
And again, I would agree with that 100%. Real World Garage says this is a cult car. Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like guys like us where we have our opinions. You got to be able to separate your opinion. Like I said earlier, Dodge does not make a better gas engine than Chevrolet. Nobody does. Anybody that says they do is just going on their opinion. Will I ever choose a Chevy B8 over a Hemi? No, because I like the Hemi. But you got to go by facts. Are they going to sell millions of these? Yes. Do they get 1 million views? Yeah. They're flashy. They're fast. They're the newest thing, just like the Gladiator. Is it ugly? Oh, yeah, it's hideous. You have to spend 10 grand on it to make it look right. But will they sell a lot of them? Yes. Is the Bronco a poser mobile with pencil-sized tie rod ends? Yeah, it is. But they're going to sell a ton, and that's why those people are in automotive marketing and development, and we're on YouTube.
So there you go, guys. There's some automotive news. There's some vehicles that have been on the market for a while that you got both mine and Big Easy's honest opinion on how he felt on these things. And and that's the whole thing. Like I think, could we sit back and could we, if we had one of these vehicles here physically in person to do a review on, would you get any difference of opinion? I don't think so. No matter what, there's going to be things you like and things you don't like about each one of these vehicles that we flash up on the screen tonight. And to some of us, there's going to be more dislikes than there are likes. For instance, that Corvette, absolutely love the color. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I'm going to say about it. So
fair enough.
If you don't have anything nice to say, no. But that's the thing. Part of it is being real world and being able to tell your honest opinion. It is just our opinion. What we say is not the gospel. We don't have anything. There's nobody paying us to say one way or the other. When I give a review, you're going to know exactly how I feel about something. If I think it's a good car, I'll tell you. If I think it's a piece of crap, I'm going to tell you if I don't like something. So the idea is that, we just want to share with you some of these vehicles that have been on the market for a while, and get some of your opinions and get some of our opinions, so you knew exactly how we felt about them, and see if you shared the same views that we did. Anything else you want to add to that, Luke?
Not really. I think we covered pretty much everything, boss. And yeah, I watched in the chat Gary said something. I totally agree with him. Mexican Spec asked a question here. Where did it go? Oh, on the used car market. For the Corvette on the used car market, Mexican Spec, there's so few used Corvettes that are for sale outside of private hands, and so few made, there isn't a real big impact. It's more of a niche vehicle.
Yeah,
Corvette
and I think
guys buy Corvettes, put it that way.
Exactly. And once they get to be 15 or 20 years old, guys like us, like regular car guys, are going to buy the ones that are, scratch and dent, that they can buy cheap and tell their friends that they bought a Corvette.
Yeah.
But other than that, the ones that are going to be, have 5,000 miles on them 15, 20 years from now, those are the ones that are going to keep the retail value. They're going to sell probably for almost the same amount of money that they did when they were new, because of the low mileage and the pristine condition they were kept in, the fact that they were never driven.
Yeah, it's like people think we're crazy about driving the Jeep in the woods. We had a guy in the parking lot of where were we? I can't remember, a grocery store somewhere. And he's like, "You take this thing in the bush?" Well, yeah, it's a Jeep Rubicon, but it's got scratches and everything.
PC pinstriping.
But that's the whole point. Why would you spend this kind of money? And he couldn't grasp it, and I tried to explain it to him. Turns out that I think he was a vlogger. So,
well, and just like Bobo said, he called it BC pinstriping, and around here we call it Charlotte County pinstriping, right? They don't get washed, and the only time that anything ever gets brushed up against it is the brush itself. So, one thing I did want to talk a little bit about tonight, we've got about 10 minutes left. So before we kind of get to, the end of our regular show, is I want to give you an opportunity to tell everybody out there a little bit about what's going on over at the Car Guys, Coastal Auto Reaction, because we know you haven't been doing a whole lot of regular posting on YouTube.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what Coastal Auto Reaction has been focusing on the last little bit.
Well, Bobo and I have been putting in 10 to 16-hour days, as well as barn finding and all the other automotive stuff we like to do. Bobo and I have also been part of many search and rescue teams in the past, and my good friend Jason here talked us into getting TikTok. I fought it until he finally said, "Stop being so stubborn, Easy, and just give it a shot." So I did, and I found it to be a great platform where we could get it out there that we were willing to help. And we've been searching for missing people, helping those that are in danger, helping those in crisis and recovery, and it's been incredible. And one of the missing people that you guys, if you've watched the video, most of the people in here I'm sure have, of Bear Henry, we helped find them. They are home, and we've just recently recovered their van. So that episode will be out hopefully in the next 3 or 4 days. That's what we've been up to. And there's also another major thing we've been doing and working on. We have filmed lots of videos. They will be up soon. It's just we've been going flat out. So go check out our TikTok, though.
Yeah. So if you don't know where to find them on TikTok, I think you're using Car Guys.
Yeah, I'll type it in.
Yep. And he'll put the name that you guys can search for. And check it out, because their TikTok seems like it's growing fairly quickly, a lot faster than mine. And I don't want to talk them into doing it, because I was saying, well, you get a pretty good audience over there. And,
yeah, it's going insane. We can't keep up with it. Even Uncle Bobo's is over 1,000.
Wow. I got to check mine.
I also post like 4 videos a day on there, because I can do it right from my phone, and it's nowhere near the same level of editing.
Yeah.
That being said, we're not going anywhere on YouTube. We're going to be posting more. So Whether it stays at 45 or 46,000 subs like we've got, or it goes to 1 million, we don't care anymore. We just put it out there really for the core 500 people that watch every video.
So Big Easy told you what's coming up on his channel for videos, and I want to share a little bit about what I'm doing with mine. So anybody who has a Ford anything from the mid 90s right up into probably the 20 teens will know that Ford had an issue with their sloppy shifters. I've got 3 Panther platforms in my family, and each one of them has a sloppy shifter. And the next video, we're going to show you how to fix it on a Panther platform, but by rights, it's not much different than any other Ford out there. So you're going to want to check out that video on how to fix your sloppy shifter and little ways that you can adjust if your indicator's not pointing directly on the gear that you're in. So it's just kind of more of a helpful how-to. And I did that because we had a customer that called up, says, listen, I'm having trouble. Can you fix it? Sure. And I thought I should have been filming that one because it was on an F-150. But we were just so busy and swamped and understaffed that day that I just had to get the job done. But
I know that feeling, man.
I knew that I could get it done on one of my own cars and make a video out of it and show you guys. So you guys are going to see that and just how easy it is. The hardest part is working upside down under your dash. So anyways, that's something to come up onto the Old Car Guy, one of the next videos that you'll see. One more reminder before we get done here is next week, again, we are on Grant's channel, Straight Six Fan. Melissa, if you haven't done it recently, if you don't mind, put Grant's channel up there so you can head on over to Grant's YouTube channel and subscribe. If you don't know, he's been posting on Instagram. He sold the Project Low Fairmont, and I believe his next video is going to be that. So a little bit of bittersweet. We always hate to sell our projects, but we also know that there's usually something bigger and better coming down the pike, and that's going to be the case with Grant, that he'll be looking for something new as well. So next week the show's over there. Mike Davenport, the Chevy dude, will be on the Car Guy and Six Fan Show next week, at least hopefully, if nothing happens that we end up missing another guest. If we do, well, we'll figure something out and you guys are going to come along for the ride. Luke, any final parting words that you want to share with our gang that's on there tonight?
Thank you, everybody that's continued to support us. We've got about a dozen core members, people like Moose Man, stuff with Cletus has shown us so much love. And go check out the TikTok and the great things we're doing there. And don't forget, share videos, whether it be Old Car Guy, or if you see something you like, tell 10 people, because that's how these guys earn a living.
Yeah,
that's really about it. And thanks for watching. And when's our podcast going to start? Because this rocks.
Well, we'll have to figure something out. We do have stuff with Cletus as a future guest on the Car Guy and Six Fan Show.
Nice.
So you're going to want to pay attention to that. We've got a few guys coming up, and we will be posting some on Instagram, letting you know who future guests are for the following few weeks. So that is something that we'll be doing here in the near future.
I want to say hi to Jimmy C. I just seen he popped in.
I saw that too. Thanks for jumping in there, Jimmy. Yeah. So Luke, thank you so much for supporting me in the ways that you do in being a part of the Car Guy and Six Fan Show and filling in. I think this is your third time filling in. Because we've had you on as a guest, and then you filled in a few times. And
yeah, that's right. That's right. We got the highest number at one point.
yeah. So it's great to have you back behind the screen live again. We missed seeing the Car Guys live streams on Sundays, but nevertheless, we understand how busy things are. But I appreciate you. I appreciate you guys supporting the Car Guy and Six Fan Show and me and Old Car Guy. So I appreciate that.
That on the live or on TikTok with them.
What? Hang on, Jason, 1 second.
Get Jason and you on TikTok.
Oh, Jason, we got to do something on TikTok together. I'll talk to you about it later.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of the Car Guy and Six Fan Show, because obviously without you guys watching, we wouldn't be doing this. So we saw the numbers creeping up there into the high 30s tonight. Thank you.
Thanks for coming,
being there.
everybody.
And as we move on to next week with Mike Davenport, the Chevy dude, over on Grant's channel. I've said that 100 times, but I just don't want you to forget it, because you guys watching, sharing out these videos, and being a part of our car community is exactly why we do this. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part. Thanks for being in the chat. And we will see you next week. Stay focused on the windshield, not the rearview mirror. I love you guys. God bless. Let's do it again next week.